The program that you're about to hear contains material that may be offensive to some listeners. Listener discretion is advised.
Go ahead. Make my day.
2, 1, 0.
Hello and welcome to Write and Writer, the official podcast of the Washington Free Beacon, sponsored by Calm. I'm your host, Elizabeth Harrington. You can follow me on Twitter at LizWFB. The Free Beacon podcast is available on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher. Please subscribe, tell your friends, and leave a review. Joining me from the right today is Free Beacon Editor-in-Chief Matthew Continetti. You may remember him from such mainstream media outlets as the New York Times and Real Clear World. You can follow him on Twitter at Continetti. Hello, Matt.
Hello, Liz.
And further to Matt's right is Free Beacon President and Facebook Content Monitor Aaron Harrison. We're not exactly sure what he does around the office, but he signs the checks, and that's good enough for us. Hello, Harrison.
I also monitor the content on the Free Beacon as well. Just monitor.
Very good job.
Quality control.
Up first on Write and Writer, President Trump is in Hanoi, Vietnam for a second summit with Kim Jong-un. Trump will meet with the North Korean dictator over 2 days, first over dinner with Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney. Quote, "We want denuclearization, and I think Kim will have a country that will set a lot of records for speed in terms of an economy," Trump said before leaving for Vietnam. Matt, what do you expect will come of the second summit?
Well, we really don't know. We're here again for a second summit. There's things I would like to see, beginning with an inventory of the North Korean weapons, which they have never provided us. Nicholas Eberstadt, in a piece written by Henry Olsen in the Washington Post, suggests that Trump might also ask for the ability to send a 1-minute message directly to the North Korean people on state media. Would be a small concession.
Yeah.
But the worry is that the president just gives Kim unilateral concessions, and that would be a defeat for the United States. But we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
Harrison?
The only thing that we're going to see out of this is the media and the Democratic Party teaming up once again to claim that this is somehow a victory for Kim Jong-un. We saw at the last meeting. It really wasn't. I mean, that was the opening of dialogue, okay? So if these are the same people that talked about the virtues of Obama negotiating with Iran over the previous decade. So then just because Trump is here talking to Kim Jong-un, you are now going to see the reverse of that happening, because now it's bad to talk to these dictators and try to establish some form of world peace here in a region that's been jacked up and threatening its neighbors and threatening us over the past 75 years. So that's what I expect out of this. I don't know. Matt says, we got to wait and see. We're a little early in this process to see where actual negotiations are going to go, what the actual concessions are going to be made by the North Koreans, and to see if they actually want to modernize and maybe look a little bit like those commies to their south in Vietnam, who are now economically thriving.
I mean, one alternative is you say, okay, you have 12 warheads, you can keep them. Just don't make any more and get rid of classes of missiles. There, the issue is, are you going to demand that you get rid of only the long-range ICBMs? Or are you also going to say you need to get rid of the short-range missiles? Because if you only go for an agreement that bans the North Koreans from having the intercontinental missiles, which could hit the United States theoretically, well, that exposes Japan. Mm-hmm. And so you could go down this path of weakening the alliance structure in the Far East if you don't act prudently, and we'll just have to see how Trump acts.
That just gave me a great idea. They're allowed to keep the nukes, but they have to use them only on the Chinese.
It's a good compromise.
Peacemaker. Yes. That's when I think of you.
All right, up next, a horrifying scene took place on Friday when a sea of mini commies brainwashed by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez stormed Capitol Hill, But have no fear, an unlikely hero was there to thwart them back. The children from the Sunrise Movement cult brought over an oversized Green New Deal and asked Senator Dianne Feinstein to sign it. Quote, some scientists have said that we have 12 years to turn this around, said one girl, born in the greatest prosperity the world has ever known, but is convinced she's going to die because of the weather. Quote, well, it's not going to get turned around in 10 years, Senator Feinstein told them. I've been doing this for 30 years, she said. I know what I'm doing. You come in here and you say it has to be my way or the highway. I don't respond to that. Harrison, if we even have a Democrat crushing the commie dreams of our youth, maybe there's hope for us yet.
Good luck with that, because they own the education system. I mean, everybody, the youth of this country are routinely brainwashed from the age of 6 until they graduate high school, and then they just get to go off into college
and really get radicalized.
Yeah, to study their very important sociology degrees, their very important university studies degrees, whatever the hell Ocasio-Cortez was studying at the $75,000 a year Boston University education that she paid for, and clearly informed her as to the way the real world works. And anyway, she's in Congress now, making the world a better place. But yeah, that's the problem. These kids are brainwashed. You got these ridiculous parents out there that give the kids like 4 or 5 talking points. To stop the members in the hallways. They get into these ridiculous conversations, and the second that a senator hits them with a little bit of reality, what happens? The parents jump in to get to say their piece, because the parents are too I don't know what, they're just exploiting their kids when they can just get in line like the rest of America and talk to your representatives and make your stupid point there. But no, we have to put our kids on the front lines to take all the shots and the barbs to jump the line. Anyway, it's just ridiculous. It's a
really
sad state.
Creepy.
It's a sad state. But I don't think they should allow kids in the Capitol. That's the thing. Get them out of the Capitol complex. They really don't have a
AOC
position.
doesn't think people should reproduce.
Right.
So why should we even listen to the kids?
Right.
Since they're exhaling carbon dioxide.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, what's striking is just the apocalypticism of
This
AOC
is their religion,
and
man.
of her people. Well, it's not even like a peaceful religion. It's
No.
a religion that thinks that the millennium is imminent, and when you make these apocalyptic claims, you're going to do anything in order to either hasten the end of the world or prolong it. And I guess they want to prolong it because they want to delay it beyond the 12 years. And so that's why you have such radical proposals like the Green New Deal. So you really think that the world is about to end in a decade. And that's what's scary.
What type of a hopeful message is that for these kids with stars?
Yeah, what
in their
happened to
eyes?
hope and change?
No, that is hope. It's just can't you save us by giving us $93 trillion, Senator?
Oh my gosh. All right. Up next, climate change is an existential crisis, and we must accept moral responsibility over the planet. But that hasn't stopped Bernie Sanders' affection for private air travel. Hillary Clinton aides are throwing Sanders under the charter plane, leaking to Politico that the socialist repeatedly requested use of a private Gulfstream plane when he was campaigning for Clinton at the end of the 2016 campaign. Quote, His Royal Majesty King Bernie Sanders would only deign to leave his plush D.C. office or his brand new second home on the lake if he was flown around on a cushy private jet like a billionaire master of the universe, said former Clinton staffer Zach Pitkansas. Sanders' aides sniped back. Quote, You can see why Hillary's one of the most disliked politicians in America. She's not nice. Her people are not nice, said Michael Briggs, Sanders' 2016 campaign spokesman, calling Sanders' staff the biggest a-holes in American politics. Matt, aren't primaries great?
You see from this just how little most Democrats like Bernie Sanders. I mean, most Democrats, especially the D.C. Democrats, the part of the establishment, they hate this guy.
Yeah.
He's never been a party player. He's never been a Democrat. And yet he comes in and he thinks he can take over the whole party, if not by winning the nomination, then certainly by propagating his ideas. And to some extent, he's been very successful with most of the senators who've entered the race. So there's a deep dislike of Sanders But this is also, as you say, a preview of what's going to happen once the primary begins in earnest, which is they're all going to be leaking against each other and trying to find some type of advantage. It's kind of like, in The Dark Knight when the Joker says we're having job applications, and he breaks the pool cue in half and then says, fight it out amongst yourself. That's what the 2020 primary on the Democratic side is going to be.
So Bernie's the Joker?
20 people, 20 people scrambling for the poll cue.
Yeah,
in the middle of some dingy bar trying to come out on top.
No, Bernie...
Trump is the Joker.
Trump's Batman. Let's be honest. Okay,
Yeah.
Trump wins.
Come on.
In these scenarios because the Democrats love tearing each other down. But what I'm really struck by here is that it's this quote unquote smart Democrats that hate Bernie because they see what he is doing to the party. He has the hearts of the activists of the party, and they're the ones that control the Iowa caucuses. They're the ones that control the New Hampshire primary. They're the most important people in the primary process, and they freaking love Bernie. And what do you see is that these are his basic ideas that he has been fighting for his entire life. Medicare for all, free this, free that, damn the Defense Department. And what happens is that you get people like Kamala Harris who are countered with, or who are asked questions about these policies. Do you support Medicare for all? Well, what does she have to say? The knee jerk is, oh yeah, sure, yeah, of course. Like these aren't policies
just get rid of that
like people like Kamala Harris have been fighting for their whole life. They haven't put any thought into it, so they just have to give this knee jerk support because the second that they go against the radical elements of the party, they lose the activists, and then it puts them in a very bad position to win the primary. This is going to go on for the rest of the year, and I'm going to love it.
Now it's time to check in with our sponsor, Calm. Stress is a worldwide epidemic. We're working longer hours. We're inundated with the constant news cycle, and we're more connected than ever before. Stress is a part of life, but it can very easily affect our overall well-being. That's why we're partnering with Calm, the #1 app to help reduce your anxiety and stress and help you sleep better. More than 40 million people around the world have downloaded it. If you head to calm.com/WFB, you'll get 25% off a Calm premium subscription, which includes guided meditations on issues like anxiety, stress, and focus, including a brand new meditation each day. There are also sleep stories, which are bedtime stories for adults designed to help you relax. Head to the magical lavender fields of southern France with Stephen Fry, or explore the moonlit jungles of Africa with Leona Lewis. There are even soothing music and much more. Right now, Free Beacon podcast listeners can get 25% off a Calm premium subscription at calm.com/WFB. That's CALM.com/WFB. Get unlimited access to all of Calm's content today at calm.com/WFB. Now it's time to check in with Right and Writer's chief legal analyst, Victorino Mattis. Hello, Vic.
Hello, Liz.
How's it going? I hear you have a very interesting update for us.
I do. This is just a terrible story with no happy ending. So
not like in a Calm story.
Yeah,
no.
In a Calm story. So there was an 8-month-long sting operation in Jupiter, Florida, involving numerous day spas that apparently were fronts for prostitution. Who knew? I didn't know this was a thing about day spas and prostitution. Now, there's all sorts of charges involving sex trafficking, video surveillance, so it's really unpleasant. In any event, it was the police, the Department of Homeland Security, and the IRS. They netted more than 100 Johns, as they're called. The name of one of the places is the Orchids of Asia Day Spa, which
sounds nice.
It sounds exotic, right? Well, they netted 25 Johns, including one Robert Kraft, as in the owner of the New England Patriots. Oh. So he's got a residence in Florida and Massachusetts, and apparently he came twice to the day spa. The spa supposedly charges $59 for a half hour and $79 for a full hour. You know, I'm like, how about 5 minutes for $9.83? That's my question, because you can. I figured it asking for a friend.
Well, according to the police
That's
report,
the math. That's
Was that prorated?
I was just saying.
You did the
I
prorated
did the prorated. I did the
fee.
prorated.
well, according to the police report, that's
News
about
you can
exactly
use.
that's exactly as long as he spent in the spa.
No, well, there you go. So, so Kraft has been charged with 2 counts of soliciting another to commit prostitution. It sounds serious, but in fact, it's just a misdemeanor. So the other day on MSNBC, the headline was Bob Kraft could face a year in jail. That's not going to happen. He won't even have to show up in court for his arraignment on April 24. There's no perp walk or handcuffs. His lawyer got the summons, and in fact, you can just plead in a letter not guilty, which is what he's going to do. My legal hunch is that his attorneys will urge the court to move to what we in the legal community call a pretrial diversion. It's for first-time offenders. It's overseen by the U.S. Probation Service. You avoid getting processed by the criminal justice system. Remember, he's a first-time offender with a spotless record. He's 77 years old, a widow. He's done a lot for the community. So I'm betting that he just gets a slap on the wrist, like the masseuses. Back to you.
Thank you, Vic. Such a thorough legal analysis that we need.
You really massaged the facts there.
I really did.
Oh,
They
nice.
went. Thank you. They went through 1,500 customers a year.
Well, it's
Wow.
Yeah, they just.
it's really making me rethink my go-to Valentine's gift for the missus.
Did
usually
you
like-
get her a visit to the Orchid Day Spa?
Something similar.
Did you vet the place?
I'm just a little nervous now. I mean, the Yelp reviews were highly complimentary.
Oh, well.
Everybody was very, very satisfied upon their exit.
You know, the ESPN had images of the interior the other day. It didn't look like it was necessarily the cleanest.
No, according.
Are
It
they
kinda looked
ever?
like an
I
old
Yes.
Asian cuisine restaurant.
But you get a little bit of that. It's according to the police report, the hygiene was quote minimal at best.
Well, that's weird because I've always been told that most of those places smell like bleach.
Yeah. That's
That
what
should
you've
tell
been
you
told.
something. If it
Yeah.
didn't say it, run.
No firsthand knowledge.
No.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Vic. Up first in our culture round, your fancy new brunch place is probably colonialist and you're a colonizer. According to NBC News, Simon Moya Smith writes, the hipsters are ruining neighborhoods in Brooklyn and Denver with their gentrification, which he calls modern day colonization that comes with a side of Eggs Benedict and bottomless mimosas. Moya Smith won't stop until he ruins everyone's boozy breakfast with friends. Quote, there is no immediate solution to the scourge of gentrification, mainly because we live in a rigged corpocracy and an evil oligarchy, he writes. But maybe, just maybe, next time you order another round of those sexy-sounding, high-priced cocktails with a mint sprig on the rim in the newly named neighborhood you just relocated to, consider those who are no longer there. And remember, gentrification is never a good thing. Matt, I always like a side of white privilege with my brunch.
I read this piece, unlike most of them that we discuss on this show. It was the most sophomoric, straight out of the college newspaper, not even a very good college newspaper op-ed.
But it was
page.
filed under NBC News.
And it appeared on, right. And in that
Thought
section on the
experiment.
NBC website are just the most
Crazy.
Stalinist, like left-wing, crazy talk,
Yeah.
race-based, arguments and so one, what is going on at NBC.com?
Right.
And two, the piece
Right,
is
this
just
isn't
so
MSNBC,
stupid.
this is NBC.
I mean, it's like when an editor, like I grew, I've been doing this for 15 years.
You sound
And
like Ti-Fi.
I am right. Well, she's been doing it for a lot longer
right,
than I have.
but still.
But
Listen,
I guess
you.
I had the benefit of having editors who are adults.
Yes.
Who would like, if I wrote a statement, what did you say? Our soulless corporate oligarchy.
I couldn't even say it. Well, that's not
Yeah.
new. But corpocracy.
Corpocracy. The editor would circle it and go, "What do you mean?" Or
What is this?
facts, please, or evidence, or but it's
Right,
just
there's no evidence.
There's no evidence at all,
It's
except
like,
it's just
I'm
blank.
sad my neighborhood's changed.
But he's not sad.
no.
He's not sad. I mean, what would you want? You want the city? Well, I know this is what they want because it's something I said
Yeah.
the other day on the show. Socialists want you to be poor.
And they
want
want
everyone
high
to
crime.
be poor, and they want everyone miserable.
Yeah.
Because that allows them to control you.
Exactly.
And so I was embarrassed for NBC.com that they ran that piece.
But you'd only be embarrassed if you had higher expectations for them. I don't. But I'm actually like, there are different types of colonization in America's urban environments these days. And what I've noticed is that the true colonizers are the liberals. Like, look at what happened in Brooklyn, Williamsburg.
Right. It's all the liberal people that are doing this, by the way.
Socialist, communist hipsters and their stupid mustaches and their ridiculous outfits that go in and make these brunch spots that basically just serve something with eggs. That is brunch, by the way.
Man buns.
And their man buns, yes.
Is that going away finally?
And their gender fluidity.
I hope so.
And their open relationships. And they're just,
Yeah.
Like, I can go on and on and on about these freaks. They're the worst. And I understand the backlash to their colonization. Now, you look at the conservatives, okay? There's several articles that have been written over how Trump has recolonized D.C. It's like you've got these districts where the hipsters have gentrified former populations and kicked them out, and then now they live in these like hipster liberal enclaves. But like when the Republicans go and colonize an area, we usually pick an unpopulated space in the city, namely Navy Yard, where Ocasio-Cortez is currently hanging out in a posh luxury condominium. But like down there, that used to be just chop shops and brothels and stuff. Like nobody actually lived there because it was too freaking dangerous. So when we colonize, like we revitalize areas that are of nothing but blight. We do the good. The libs are the ones who are really doing the bad.
All right, up next, surprise, surprise, the super trendy companies offering genetic testing kits with their super accurate results are amassing huge databases of information with your DNA. Axios reports many consumers who take the test to learn about their family trees may not realize how that data is being shared for other purposes. MIT Technology Review predicts more than 100 million people may be part of commercial genetic databases within the next 2 years. Data can then be shared with law enforcement, insurance companies, employers, and genetic data is already being used in cold cases. Harrison, sounds like finding out your 2% finish is totally worth it.
I mean, what can I say to that?
People are so stupid. What do you think they're doing with this? And it's not even accurate.
I think these things are so full of
Yeah.
I've seen I've never participated in this myself, but I've had a couple of relatives that have done this, and they come back and they show me their lovely results. And it is an absurd pie chart of nothing that is specific.
No.
It's like, okay, you've got, 4% of your DNA comes from the continent of Africa. It's like, okay, wonderful. But I think about that percentage, that applies to basically everybody on the planet. Like, there's no specifications here that would actually lead you to tracking your family history. Mm-hmm. It just gives you a general vicinity of a couple, 3, 4, 5 million square miles from which you can search. So it is either a scam or there is something else going on here. I'm suspicious, and I've seen the final products, and they are extremely underwhelming.
Matt.
What about Elizabeth Warren's?
That one,
she went to an expert.
That one backfired.
She went to a professor.
She went deep on that. God knows what she spent on it. We really don't know how much public money she wasted going into this.
Yeah, can we find out? Can we
find
look that up?
The what was it?
1,024th.
No, Liz Warren won 1/2020th.
Yeah, I was surprised to hear.
That's the best.
You just said, so what's the downside that they're able to crack cold cases now? I don't see the downside of any of this. Well, they're doing medical.
I don't like that.
They're doing medical research. They'll probably come up with some cures or gene therapy.
Boo.
No, I find.
Have you done one of these?
No. But I don't see the complaint of people once they hand over the material. I don't want
them having my DNA. That's just terrible.
Well, then you don't have to do the product.
Yeah, I'm not going to.
Right.
But until they make you.
It seems to me. I don't know. I mean, I'm BSing here, as I typically do on this podcast. But it seems to me that when you give your information, or when your information is kind of surreptitiously taken from you, your data on the social networks, and then used in a million different ways to manipulate you, that's a little bit more insidious to me than this, which is Yeah,
don't
here's your
know.
DNA. I mean,
lots
they're
of
going to clone
possibilities.
until they clone you.
Well, they
I
already,
don't know. I might
coming.
have a problem with
you know, they already do this with kids when you're born. Like that first 24 hours or so, the nurse comes over and they say, "Hey, do you want, to give a quick blood sample of your child? God forbid if they ever went missing, so we could be able to identify them."
No.
That happens.
It's going to just be used to trace us when we wander off Ocasio-Cortez's commune.
They're doing it now, and they've got it.
But they have fingerprint. I mean, DNA. Most people don't even know what DNA is. So it's like, how are they going to trace you with DNA? I don't understand. I mean, they have fingerprints.
know.
Yeah, you're just weirded out by this for
It's
no
scary.
particular reason.
It's like Big Brother.
Are you on Facebook?
Yeah, but
Yeah,
I don't use it
Facebook and
anymore.
Google know more about you
I haven't
than
used it in like 2
23andMe. Already, you used it enough.
Yeah, I
when
mean,
you
the phone already
Google
knows
listens
everything.
to. I mean, I think they listen
Okay,
sometimes.
yeah, but what
Oh, they
happens?
definitely do.
Or the Alexa, if you have an Alexa
I
in
do
your
not
house.
have that.
Well, what happens when Google or Facebook decides to buy the DNA company?
Hmm.
Then everybody's
We're all going to die in 12 years anyway. What's it matter? Up next, a new Lucky Charms flavored beer is being called Magically Ridiculous. Smart Mouth Brewing Company in Norfolk, Virginia claims their new beer, Saturday Morning IPA, will taste like frosted Lucky Charms. The IPA, designed to remind you of your childhood, is brewed with in-house toasted marshmallows and bulk dehydrated marshmallow bits, according to the brewery. It has been hopped and dry hopped with Galaxy and Calypso hops. The nose is sweet and citrus with orange and pear aromas. It has a soft, pillowy body with a slight cereal taste. Matt, millennials don't really need to be reminded what Lucky Charms tastes like. They still eat it for breakfast every morning.
I want to try this beer.
I do too. It sounds kind of good.
I think that
sounds
description
quite nice.
sounded nice, and I can see kind of the aromas fitting in with the nice craft IPA. I'm for this.
Me too.
Yeah,
It
so
sounds good.
maybe not for the millennials.
Yeah.
but we should definitely
Those
get
with
a sample.
refined taste.
Didn't we sell it? How did we had? We had Natty Light or something. On
Yeah.
one-
Yeah, why don't we get some of
We
this?
need to try some
Well,
of this.
that's the preferred breakfast of most state college students in this
the Natty
in this
Light.
country. Yeah. Well, far be it for me to judge anybody on how they start their day. All right, Saturday morning, if this is going to be, you drink this while you're watching your cartoons, like, I'm down with it.
Yeah.
You're going to find no objection
It's
for
better
me.
than brunch. You're
On
not
this.
hurting anybody, right?
Well,
With
you're
your
certainly not
colonization.
You know what? Think about all these urban breweries that have popped up. They're all over the place. That is something that kind of drives me nuts because I think a lot of this whole craft beer movement is just really, really overrated crap.
Yeah.
And everybody, I think IPAs taste like personally. Instant headache. Maybe I'm just
Instant headache.
they're just gross.
It's just your age.
A lot of these things are just no. I've been like this since day one. Give me the Coors Light. Give me the Natty Light.
what did you
Give me
drink?
the Bud
What
Heavy.
did you have with your Jaeger shots the other day?
If only I could remember. I believe we were drinking
Pilsners.
we were drinking. I was drinking a delicious Chimay Irish Red. Belgian
You
Red.
trace
A
that with
Belgian Red.
Jaeger?
Yeah. It made
What
for
was
a.
the occasion?
It was a real toxic witch's
Oh,
brew that was
just
going
a normal
on.
lunch on a work day.
Yeah, after 4 or 5 martinis. Listen, you gotta get through the day, guys. Whatever it takes, and then of course in the morning you're gonna want to wake up with an elixir, a little hair of the dog, if you will. And if it happens to be Fruity Pebbles or Lucky Charms beer, so be it.
Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today's edition of Right Writer. I'd like to give a special thanks to our producer, LB4, of course, our free Beacon guests, Matthew Continetti, Aaron Harrison, and Victorino Mattis. Remember, find us on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher. Just search for Free Beacon. Please subscribe, tell your friends, and leave a positive review, like listener Mike Garner9, who says, I enjoy Dr. Pondriver on Right and Writer, but I do have a bone to pick with him. The terms overweight and overcaloried are deeply problematic. We porkers prefer differently sized. Okay, until next time.